All right, guys, before we do jump into today's video, I wanted to give a big thank you to you because we hit 75K subscribers yesterday. It's another milestone in our journey here, but like I keep saying, I want to stop and appreciate the moments and smell the roses, and this rose smells amazing. 75,000. Thank you guys so damn much. We're not getting complacent. We're not getting comfortable. Going to keep grinding our asses off. 100 on the way. But I did want to stop and say thank you guys so much for all the support, all of the likes, subscribes, the Fade Me purchases. Like, honestly, thank you guys so damn much. But just wanted to say that before we started today's show. Let's jump into it. Thank you guys. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, May 23rd. We got a smaller than usual, I guess it's normal for Thursdays, but a small MLB slate to dive into in today's video, like we always do when I go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like parlays or player props as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is where all of my final plays will live. Everything I talk about in the video are plays that I'm considering and plays that I like, and I think others should consider if you want, but all of my final plays are what I actually roll with and bet myself, so those plays will be in the pinned comment, updated there. If you do want to ride with me, or if you do want to fade me, you could check that out. In terms of last night, another night in which just a couple bounces the ball and just luck kind of determine what we end up with. So it's a 3-2 night. The good news, I guess you could say, is the two full unit plays cash. So it actually was a profitable night, but the 3-2 doesn't really look like it, right? We had Twins money line, they cashed for a full unit. Yankees money line, they cashed for a full unit. I hate seeing more red than green, but if we counted paper, we did actually have a profitable night because we had a half unit parlay that lost. Salvador Perez is our Instagram challenge. Make sure to follow me there at MLB Picks. That lost quarter unit. And then Giants first five money line. I bounced back and forth. If you watch back yesterday's video, I was trying to be like the contrarian, the sharp one in the room. I was going to back Blake Snell. I shouldn't have because he stunk, but the Giants ended up winning the game, and I bounced back and forth between first five money line and money line, but obviously me being the biggest jinx out here in the world, Snell gets crushed, and I went with first five money line. But nonetheless, I'm not going to cry over it because, again, it looks bad, but it's actually a profitable night because we hit our two biggest plays, and I think we're going to start rolling in more and more full unit plays now because I feel comfortable with the data. I feel comfortable where we are at on the season and everything like that. But yeah, things take a turn for the worse a little bit here, and we lose this one on the hook. Coming in from Bifelsk. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Freddie Peralta, under 6.5 Ks. Bummer. He finishes with 7 Ks. I liked this spot. I liked jumping on board. But again, losing on the hook like that just stinks. He had 7 Ks in 7 innings pitched yesterday. So the ride of the day does not come through, meaning the new ride of the day is up for grabs, guys. Use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's play, and then you get a shout out just like Bfels did in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we continue to ride with your play. But let's go ahead and jump into today's games. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button. Thank you guys so much for 75,000 subscribers. The more and more subscribers we get, the harder and harder I want to work. And I think that that's a good mindset to keep. So I'm going to do my best to keep that grind mentality and everything like that. But let's jump in. We got the Yankees taking on the Mariners. Yesterday, we had the Yankees money line. Glad that cashed. They had 7 runs. They won 7-3. And it's not even like they rode Cortez's coattails, right? Bryce Miller went 6 innings. He only went 5. But nonetheless, those Yankees bats are legitimate. And they were kind of dormant for the first 2 games in this series. Now, we do have some weather today. I think it's going to be wind blowing out almost 80 degrees in New York, but like a 50% chance of rain. So that is definitely worth noting when I talk about the Yankees bats and the offense. And Luis Castillo's on the mound for Seattle today, who he's obviously a really good pitcher, and he's pitching really well on the road this season. He's got 3.28 ERA overall this season, but on the road, a 1.04 whip, a FIP of 3.1, an average against of 191. So there is something here when it comes to obviously, just him being able to perform, because I would look at this and say they have a clear-cut pitching advantage, right, when I talk about Seattle. But we do look at the offense as, okay, well, Castillo, better pitcher than Gil. I know he's having a good year, but just the track record, I guess I would say, right? But is Castillo a better pitcher than the Yankees are batters right now? And that's where I might, you might lose me on the Castillo train, because I like the guy and we've backed him plenty this year, but I don't think that I can fully get behind riding Seattle just for their starting pitcher. So, I guess confusing way to get there in terms of my breakdown here, but I like the Yankees on the money line just because I can continue to think that this offense can do like endless things. And like I mentioned, like there is rain possibilities, but even still, the weather and the wind should allow the Yankees bats to be able to prosper here. So give me the Yankees on the money line. I'll also lean towards the over because I don't think this is going to be a low scoring game if the Yankees do win. And I'm kind of hoping they get to a really good pitcher in Castillo, honestly. So Yankees money line and the over, but I kind of wanted to give Castillo his flowers before we just jumped to the opposite side. Next up, we have Pittsburgh taking on San Francisco. Skeens on the mound for Pittsburgh, 2.7 ERA. Obviously, his first start when it was at home wasn't. Oh, I guess overall that first start kind of skews his data altogether. And boy, oh boy, did you guys jump down my throat the last time I said he had a rough start. You guys were like, he's so much better than that. Like, okay. Nice. Number one pick. I understand. Let's settle down. And then he goes out and deals. So good for him, right? But overall, we've seen one good start, one bad start out of him. I'm willing to trust the good start because I do think that the good start was way better than the bad start, if that makes sense. So I think they have a pitching matchup here, Pittsburgh over Mason Black, who's pitching for San Francisco, which I don't even know if he's confirmed yet. He is listed as the probable pitcher, but he's 0-1 with a 7.71 ERA, right? And Pittsburgh, to me, is heavily juiced for that reason. Like, there's such a pitching discrepancy here, and we saw them, like, honestly, probably should have won that game yesterday also, so they should be up 2-0 in this series, if you ask me. I think they come out kind of pissed off about losing that game yesterday, so give me Pittsburgh, even though they're so heavily juiced. You can get them at minus 155 on ESPN. I know the graphics is minus 162, but minus 155, I like that spot. I'm also going to slightly lean towards the under in this spot. If Skeens does anything like he did his last start, then how could the Giants really put up a lot of runs, right? And I don't care about the bullpens being issues in this game. Neither one of these offenses is all that impressive. So even like Black, Mason Black having terrible stats this season through his, just small sample size, Pittsburgh's offense, like against righties, is bottom 5 in in the last 30 days, almost every batting category. So I don't necessarily look at that and say, oh man, they're going to put up a huge spot. And both games so far have been high scoring in this series. So I think we're due for like even a 5-3 type of a game would stand to this number. So I think we're due for that. Give me Pittsburgh as well as the under here. If you like Pittsburgh, you might be able to look at them on the first 5. Let me see if I can get odds for that really quickly, because then you're just totally pinning Skeens up against, obviously up against Mason Black, right? You don't have to worry about the bullpens. Minus 150 for them on the first 5, so you even get a little bit better of a price. That could be something we consider today. All right, Philadelphia taking on Texas here. We got Zach Wheeler on the mound for Philly. He's obviously got some good numbers, as he's just like, for whatever reason, I always feel like he's underrated. He definitely was last year. This year, I think he's getting his flowers. But nonetheless, a 2.52 ERA on the season, 0.97 whip, a FIP of 2.74, an average against of 183, strikeout rate of 30. On the road, he's got a strikeout rate of 33%. So I think Zach Wheeler has a good day today. He throws a lot of fastballs. Texas, not batting fastballs very well. In fact, if we look at the dashboard here, 50% of his pitch is going to be fastballs. Texas, bottom 7 in the league in terms of runs above average per 100 fastballs they see. Guys, you want access to this dashboard, wherever it is, right here. Become a channel member, $2.99 per month. You get a link every single day for it. But nonetheless, I think that this is going to be a way that we could try and get to Philly, maybe looking at them on the first 5 run line. I want to play them money line, but look at what they're at, minus 210 and beyond. That's a little bit too much. So even first 5 money line, they're still minus in the 200s. But if you look at them at minus 0.5 on the first 5, you can get them for minus 140. So maybe we look at them to have a lead after the first 5. They've done that in 3 straight. And obviously, I think they're showing that they're kind of head and shoulders above this Texas team. 5-2 game number 1, 11-4 game number 2. So I like this spot for them. In terms of the total, it's sitting at 8.5 right now. And I know we have a good pitcher on the mound for the Phillies. Andrew Heaney on the mound for Texas. He's good and bad. Like, he's had some good starts this season, but overall, the last few starts, he's been give you 4 innings, maybe 5 innings, and let up 2 runs type of guy, striking out a handful, right? So I don't necessarily know if I want to put a lot of trust into him to hold down the Philly offense. So I'm going to lean towards the over, even though I like Philly to be able to score some runs today. So maybe it's more of like a Phillies first 5 over 2.5, or a first 5, over, I guess, over 4.5 for minus 115, something like that. I think if we do play an over, it would be to trust the Phillies bats. And it looks like they have, as of right now, expected lineup, most of their guys in the lineup. Obviously, it's worth considering when, you have the getaway days and stuff like that, to keep an eye on guys that could just be sitting for no reason. But it looks like we have most of the guys in the lineup. And in terms of what we have for weather, it looks like it is going to be a little bit rainy and stuff like that, but there's just direct winds blowing out towards center field. So I think we could see some offense regardless of a little bit of moisture in the air. Who remembers last year? Comment down below weather. If you do remember, we used to have Weatherman Ev, because I would get so deep into the weather of these games. And weather is important in baseball, but I would do it for like every single game, and it just became too much. Like, it wasn't impacting it that much, right? And I'd go, Weatherman Ev reporting for duty. Who was watching last year when that happened? Because I'm sure we've like doubled in subscribers since then. Anyways, before we do jump into the rest of the games, I wanted to talk to you guys about Daily Grind Fantasy and their Prize Picks and DFS Optimizer tool. You can see I'm filtered to Prize Picks right now, but they have Underdog, Parlay Play, they have Sleeper, which we love, every pretty much DFS app out there they have. And what's cool about this is what it does is it compares all of the offerings on Prize Picks, the lines that they have, right? And then says, okay, let's look at all of the regulated sports books, or the most important ones, Pinnacle, FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Caesars, and what are the odds that they're offering on their site, because it gives us sort of a sneak peek into these sports books and how, I guess, likely to hit they think that these plays are going to be. Sports books have been profitable and around for a long time, right? So why not use their data to go after apps like Prize Picks and everything like that? For example, Ronald Acuna Jr. under 1.5 bases, they're saying is a 54% chance to hit, because Pinnacle minus 139, DraftKings minus 135, Caesars minus 135. You have an average odds of minus 139, which would equate right around to that. So Prize Picks doesn't care about odds, right? You hit 2 for 2, you're getting 3x no matter what. If you put what would be on a sportsbooks play, a minus 150 play in there, or 2 minus 150 plays, that type of thing. Why would you put a plus money, long shot type of play into Prize Picks if you're not going to get paid out accordingly? So guys, check out this optimizer. You can use the link in the pinned comment. You need to use code GUYBOSTON. You'll get 25% off. I swear by this tool. I've used this tool for years. Honestly, my Prize Picks bankroll has just gone steady up. And I honestly don't place Prize Picks plays without confirming or using this tool. It saves a ton of time too. Say you get home from work, you don't have time to research, you can literally come in here, filter to odds to hit, and these are the most valuable plays right at the top. You could select the data points. Like if I only wanted 2 data points, more plays will come up, and you see even better odds to hit. Check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. You got to use code GUYBOSTON. GUYBOSTON. Spelling bee champ. Go check it out, guys. Daily Grind Fantasy, link in the pinned comment. Promo code GUYBOSTON. All right, we got Cincinnati taking on San Diego. If you recall, San Diego is on the DNB, the do not bet list, for another couple days here, so we will not be betting them. But I even think, regardless of my bias and the do not bet list, because they've burned us a few times in a row now, the idea of, looking at Matt Waldron, who has like numbers kind of on the year, right? I'm not going to sit here and rag on him, and obviously he's kind of a unique pitcher in the league, but I do think that there's a path to get to Cincinnati, and it's for one reason, and really one reason only. Frankie Montas at home this season, you could see he's got like the green tower there at the bottom left of the dashboard. 0.96 whip, 1.94 FIP, 3.39 expected FIP, average against 206. Like, there is a way that you could say, okay, well, I think that they might have the pitching edge in this matchup. So I do lean towards Cincinnati, but honestly, I think my favorite play in this spot's probably just going to be the over. Like, this is a high number. I get that. We saw a 7-3 game yesterday. If Cincinnati contributes even more, I could see this being like, a 5-4 game at minimum, and then let's scrounge out a run somewhere throughout the game. You know what I mean? Give me a pass ball or unexpected home run, that type of thing. I do think that this is going to be a good spot for an over, even though that is such a high line. We have some potential rain, but it's going to be 75 degrees in Cincinnati. I think it's a little humid, which I believe should make the ball travel a little bit faster, right, or farther. So yeah, I like this spot overall. I think just in essence of, you know, Montas being good at home, that's like the path to Cincinnati. But his numbers on the year as a whole are not all that much to brag about. So Padres should be able to get some runs on the board. And I'm just hoping that Cincinnati can kind of hit the knuckle and put some runs up as well. Because you know this ball is going to be in play from Waldron. So can they sort of put together more than 3 runs today? Like, again, if this is a floor, in my opinion, of 5 to 4, then give me 1 run somewhere else. So I'll take Cincinnati on the money line. Don't think I'll be betting it, but there's a chance that I roll with the over. And maybe a potential, like, knock it down a peg to 8.5. I don't know what we can get for odds there. I could check really quickly, but yes, it's obviously going to be worse odds, but I do think that 8.5 is a lot safer. So minus 160, yeah, on ESPN, a little bit too much juice. We'll see. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. There could be potential for just taking this over outright. And guys, I know there's not many player props so far in today's video. That's why I wanted to shout out Daily Grind Fantasy, because they can help you find those player props. But overall, like, just with this being such a small slate, I honestly don't like too many. I do have one that's kind of on the board, or 2, I should say, in the last 2 games. So yeah, keep an eye out on the pinned comment for any added plays, because I like player props. We haven't been like finding as many that have true value as of late, but just wanted to say that. I know I'm rambling. Let's move on. All right, Chicago taking on Atlanta. We get Ben Brown on the mound for Chicago, who honestly, I think he's proved a lot of people wrong in a few starts. I think he also has some spotty starts there, but his home numbers are pretty good, though it's small sample size. 0.89 whip, 1.35 FIP, an expected FIP 293, a batting average against of 182. So shout out to the kid. All right, Ben Brown, honestly, decent numbers there at home. But what I will say is, AJ Smith-Schuyer on the mound for the Braves. You have 2 pitchers that, you know, ultimately are going to be pretty unpredictable in this spot. So I'm kind of hesitant to lean in either direction. But what I don't mind is a potential play towards the over. I think one of these teams can give you 5, or I think both these teams can get to 5 runs today. So I think my favorite spot here is going to be the over. Maybe this is one that we consider bumping down a half run just to get it to 8.5, because in terms of that, you know, we're only bumping it down a half. Over 8.5 right now, minus 125 on FanDuel. Like, that may be a little bit better than taking the over here, which is over 9 for even odds on FanDuel. I get it, plus money, probably a little bit more risk, but if you do want a little bit closer or secure of a spot, then you know, maybe we consider that. So yeah, I like the over in this spot. In terms of weather, what we have, see, I'm turning into Weatherman Ev again. In terms of weather, it's you know, we're good to go. I don't think it's going to rain, anything like that. Maybe some wind blowing, you know, across, but overall, nothing of concern for that. I guess one spot that I didn't consider, but now I do like to think about, is the Nerfy. Now, these 2 pitchers, unpredictable, I get it, but 2 guys that obviously, like, they're going to fare best first time through the order, and we've seen 2 straight Nerfies between these 2 teams, so maybe that's something that we consider there. In terms of what we're getting for odds, pretty damn good, minus 105 over on DraftKings, so yeah, Nerfy could be a spot in this game. I like the over overall, though, and then if I had to go with a money line, I think I'm going to lean towards the Cubs. This seems like a series that, you know, they'll bounce back and forth in a sense, and we've seen Cubs win game number 1, lose game number 2. This one's a toss with me, but I'll lean towards the Cubs, all right? Overall, like, clearly it's not my most confident play. It's the 3rd thing we got to here, but I'll lean Cubs just because they are at home, and I think I'll trust Ben Brown over AJ Smith-Schuyer. All right, A's Colorado. I truly have close to no interest in this spot. I'm going to lean under, and then I guess just take a peek at the Rockies potentially because of their plus money. Like, I don't think that either team has a massive edge here. I know Oakland has better bats, but Ryan Feltner on the mound, he hasn't been all that great. Joey Estes on the mound, not the best track record. So this is by far and away, in my opinion, the worst game on the slate. So I'll lean towards the underdog just for plus money. That's literally the only reason, as well as the under, because I don't believe either one of these offenses all that tremendous. But yeah, if I put something in this game in the final plays, then that means, like, call for help, all right? I'll tell you that. This is not making its way into a final play. All right, last thing before we get to the last 2 games, and I do have a couple plays that I like in these games. I want to do not a giveaway, a really good discount on fademe.store. Essentially a giveaway because I won't be making money with this, but for the first 3 people to use the code 75, so 75, you're going to get 50% off your order. Like I said, that means that I'm going to be paying money for your order. So this isn't like a get rich scheme, obviously. And it's only the first 3 people. So use code 75 on fademe.store. Go pick up some stuff, guys. It's 75 because we're celebrating 75K, and I want to hook a few people up there. So 75, first 3 people to use it will get 50% off of their order. Go check it out, guys. Fademe.store. Now let's jump into the last 2 games. Got a few plays that I like in these, actually. Detroit taking on Toronto here. We have Gausman on the mound for Toronto, who, again, it sounds like a broken record every time he pitches, but it's like he just fully hasn't hit his stride yet. Going up against Jack Flaherty, who has had some decent outings, decent numbers on the season. He pitches well at home. I think this is a fairly even-matched game. Detroit coming off of series with the Royals, in which, honestly, they probably wish they could get a few of those back. They lose 8-3, 10-3, and 8-3, getting swept by the Orioles. Toronto takes, I think, 1 of 2 against. Did they end up playing 3? My mind's escaping me now, but their win, the one I think of is they get beat by Chicago, right? It was like a 5-0, but then they had like a stomping of a game against them. I forget the score of that yesterday. So Toronto may be feeling good coming in after that, but honestly, I think I just have to trust Jack Flaherty a little bit more here due to the fact that he's coming in, or the team's coming in after just an absolute, mollywhopping throughout that series. Like, they scored 9 runs total, and the Royals scored 26. They lost that series 26-9. So I think there's got to be a little bit of fire under them, but that's not always the best betting practice, right? Like, oh, they're going to come in fired up. It's like, no, maybe there's in a rut right now. But I like this as, like, if this is a 50-50 type of a game, both teams are, minus money, minus 112, minus 108. Like, it's pretty much a pick 'em. I like Flaherty, who has just shown us more than Gausman. Long term, I think Gausman hopefully gets back, because I really like the pitcher, back to what he was last year. But as of right now, it's not happening. So, give me Detroit on the money line. In terms of the total, I kind of want to trust both pitchers here and lean under, but then I look at that total and I'm like, oh, that's super, super low, right? It kind of stinks to see that, but you know what? I'll trust them. Like, I'm trusting Gausman maybe steps up, or at least, is closer to what he used to be. And then Jack Flaherty continue to pitch like good to good, better than good baseball. Yeah, give me the under in this spot. Detroit wins this one 4-3, 4-2. All right, White Sox taking on Baltimore here. This is weird because Baltimore has got to be tired to some degree, right? In terms of, they played the 2 games yesterday. They played some of the first game 2 days ago. Like, they've played a lot of baseball recently, but they do have Chicago here. And it's like, okay, well, they're getting a pretty, not to say easy opponent, but an opponent where they don't have to like overthink and have to, go balls to the wall here against. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound going up against Mike Clevenger. Like, it should be a good enough spot for the Baltimore Orioles to bounce back. So yes, they're super juiced, everything like that. I don't mind Baltimore. Maybe, to get them to a better line, you could look at them first 5 run line, which, minus 0.5, you're going to give you minus 140 on DraftKings. At least it's playable. But I think one of the spots I like in this game is going to be Grayson Rodriguez under 6.5 strikeouts. Now, am I saying that this is a team in which, Chicago, he shouldn't be able to strike out any of these guys or anything like that? No, not at all. What I'm really saying is the fact that Grayson Rodriguez, has hit this pretty like 50-50, like literally in his last 10 starts and on the season, he's hit this pretty like 50-50 here, and he's going up against a White Sox team that, if we go to the dashboard again, like maybe this is overthinking it, but versus right-handed pitchers last 30 days at home, 2nd best K rate in the league. Like, that's kind of shocking to me. So Grayson Rodriguez is a player prop. I don't mind taking his under 6.5 Ks. He can have 6 Ks and have a good outing. I don't think they need him to fan a bunch of these guys to win the game today. So that definitely is something that we could consider playing. In terms of a total, I'm going to lean towards the under still, because I think Baltimore's probably going to give you like 4 or 5 runs, but the White Sox probably get to, 3, I would say. So I'll take the under as well. But yeah, that Grayson Rodriguez play actually has a chance of being a final play. Call me crazy. But guys, it's going to wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit a milestone yesterday. Super, super excited and proud of that and thankful for that. But we're not stopping. Like I said, the more subscribers we get, there's not like a level of complacency or comfortability. It's like I want to work harder and harder and harder and prove that I and we deserve that number, which I do know we do, but I'm going to keep working my ass off to make sure that everyone knows we do. So I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.